The 20 years to get at all of it.
20 years ago, just a few yards from where I'm standing, there was a turning point in Cincinnati's history. The city reached its boiling point.
Y'all tearing up the wrong shit. Oh no, they tearing up the wrong shit. No, y'all tearing up the wrong shit. All this shit's up there. I ain't gonna lie, I felt like, that was like a get back. The city gonna have to have some type of destruction for anybody to say something. If nobody didn't tear bus windows or anything, you wouldn't even heard about it.
Some people call it riots, some people call it civil unrest, some people call it rebellion. And we allow people to take choose which word fits for you.
We never ever accepted the fact that you can simply turn to violence or turn to damaging property as a way to have your voice heard.
It was sad. It was just sad. A lot of it. And it was scary. I was scared.
Yeah, I was terrified. A lot of times.
When it comes down to black people, they're just terrible. You don't have no win whatsoever. As far as you could be in.
I don't like that and I'm scared. When I go outside and I get shooted, and I die, I have to go to a graveyard, go up in heaven with God.
I'm not saying everybody was wrong for what they were doing, because the protest was a good deal. It was supposed to speak to the injustice, but breaking different businesses that's in your own neighborhood, and literally beating up people that had nothing to do with nothing, just kind of seemed a little different.
The question people normally ask is, why do they burn down their own communities? Why do they destroy their own communities? And I think the operative word has always been own. They don't own it. I don't know anybody that burns down their own anything.
We pretty much do a line in the sand that if you're going to hurt people, if you're going to damage property, then you're going to be arrested, and we're going to take you to jail. We're going to remove you from the crowd.
Do you think that you had control of the city during those 3 days?
I don't know what you mean by control, but I don't think that anybody was kind of in control or could predict or stop what was going on.
But then the mayor decided a curfew. This was going to be the test. They had seen enough, and he declared a curfew.
And I called a curfew the morning after a police officer was shot. And fortunately, a bullet hit his belt buckle, but I was like, that's it. We have to call a curfew.
We've got laws against arson. They're burning buildings. We've got laws against rioting. They're rioting. We've got laws against this, laws against that. I said, I'm not convinced that a curfew is going to be adhered to.
And so we had been out there those 2 or 3 nights, and we wanted to see what was going to happen now that there's a curfew. And interesting enough, everybody went home.
I asked Pastor Lynch, I said, Reverend, why are these people going home? I mean, He says they're tired. He said, rioting is, you can't sustain it. It just physically, they're tired. That was his answer, but that was ultimately what calmed things down.
The unrest that happened here in the streets of Cincinnati in April of 2001 captivated the nation. This was the story. The world was watching and wondering how we got here.
An officer involved shooting Suspect is down.
The seeds for trouble were planted early Saturday morning. Just after 2 a.m., Officer Stephen Roach shoots and kills an unarmed 19-year-old black man, Timothy Thomas.
Like you was asking me who was Tim to me, like my big brother. But another person would be like, oh yeah, it was my homie. My mom said it was my son, like my first son, you know, pride and joy, Like, and you know, his son would be like, man, I don't know.
I think people will remember Timothy Thomas, a 19-year-old black man with a child who was simply just trying to get out of the crosshairs of cops who were playing this game of cat and mouse, who knew who he was.
What do you remember about the night that Tim was killed?
We were in the house watching TV, and he decided to go to the store. So he went to the store, and I stayed.
He was running from an officer who was in pursuit of him for some warrants, all of which were misdemeanors.
The warrants, they was just minor, all minor. Weed ticket, driving without license, seatbelt ticket, loud music ticket. Like nothing worth pulling your gun on that man.
The officer, right after shooting Timothy Thomas, his first words were, "It just went off. It just went off."
That's a clear indication that we probably had an accidental discharge, more than likely had an accidental discharge, or as I would refer to an unintentional discharge.
Later, the story changed that he was reaching for something in his waistband. I thought he had a gun.
And I said, "Did you find anything in the alley?" And he said, "So far, the only thing they found is what you would expect to find in the alley. You know, some old dirt and glass and cans and whatever." And I said, "Nothing else was there?" He said, "No." And I said, "You have to excuse me, but I just said, it sounds like bullshit to me."
I immediately left my job, and I met the rest of the Cincinnati Black United Front on 12th Street, where the shooting occurred. And we began to hear the cries and moans of the people who lived on 12th Street.
So we then lead the crowd down to where Timothy Thomas was shot. It was a little alley full of glass and condoms and just no place where you would want to die. No place where you would want to be memorialized.
And I looked out, and all I seen was the ambulance and the fire truck and all that kind of stuff. People standing there, and they yelling at me to say that Tim just got shot.
Then we strategized, like, what do we do? That's when we ended up at City Hall. That's when the meeting was chaotic. That's when we ended up in the streets.
You're telling me that
I will tell you
on that time that officer chose
I will tell you
to take
that
my child from me. But at this time, almost 48 hours later, he do not choose to tell me why. This is my other son. I know he has a ticket. Is he gonna die too?
She grabbed my hand because it was one of those things. She was speaking to the people, but she was talking to me.
That meeting was really difficult. Sad.
People are screaming at us, yelling at us, lock the doors, nobody's leaving until we get the information on and on. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, how do I speak?
You know, we had a policy at the time that we wouldn't release information until the investigation had produced some results.
So I can't sit there and say, oh, the officer told us this, but we've got a video that shows clearly that didn't happen. We've got to investigate this further, because if I do, I compromise the criminal investigation.
The community doesn't feel that the police are forthcoming with the facts soon enough. And I think that, at some level, is what has led to some of the disturbances.
And even before that, though, we had filed a class action lawsuit against the city of Cincinnati for racially biased policing. Many people think the lawsuit came about because of Timothy Thomas. The lawsuit was filed in March of 2001. Timothy Thomas, it was April of 2001.
2 and 24 happened in November of 2000. 2 and 24, Jeffrey Irons, Roger Owensby Jr. They are who we call the 2 and 24. They were the catalyst for what we were doing.
Whatever the facts in these cases ultimately turn out to be, and it is possible the police will be completely exonerated, but whatever the facts turn out to be, these cases have turned into symbols of mistrust by civil rights leaders and some members in the African American community, mistrust of the police.
Jeffrey Irons was a black man who stole something from IGA and ran from the police and was killed hiding up under a car. Within that same 24 hours, Roger Owensby Jr. was murdered. A father who had a 10-year-old daughter who had just come home from his second tour of duty.
It really mattered to me in that time frame that there was this disturbing pattern of excessive force against young African-American men, and every one of the officer-involved shootings involved a young black man, 15 in a row.
Can you put into perspective for me the number 15 when we talk about 15 black men killed by Cincinnati police officers between 1995 and 2001?
The perspective was that the earlier deaths of black men were seen as justified. Their families, if they got closure by the city, was very small monetary amounts, $2,000. No change in policy, no review of what had happened.
Now, some of those people were not angels, and included in that count were people who had done some very bad things, including murder a couple of CPD officers Pope and Jeter. They were the subject was usually included in that number.
November, Roger Owensby, Jeffrey Irons pass away. We protest against police brutality, and we filed the class action lawsuit. We used every tool in the civil rights toolbox. Class action lawsuit, protests, marches. We then initiated the boycott.
So when the light was casted upon Cincinnati, and when we simply set our mind to utilizing this tool of a sanctions and a boycott against travel and tourism, it was what had been done before us.
We got word to Bill Cosby of what was happening here. Bill Cosby said, "I'm not coming." The next person who said, "I'm not coming" was Whoopi Goldberg. Now, when Bill Cosby at that time and Whoopi Goldberg say, "I'm not coming," white Cincinnati wakes up.
I thought that was a bad idea, and I still do, because it made victims out of the people working paycheck to paycheck in the downtown area, and they didn't deserve it.
Anytime people stand up to oppression, it is a success.
I thought the riots moved the needle. I didn't think the boycott moved the needle. In fact, I thought the boycott made it more difficult to come together.
So you have the boycott, the lawsuit, the protest, and we finally get to the table to negotiate the issues.
This is the building where it happened. Most of what is now known as the collaborative agreement was negotiated here at the federal courthouse downtown. It was a collaborative effort, but not an easy one.
Tense. Oh my gosh, yeah, tense. If your attorney's ready to fight.
Do you remember some of the tense moments when you guys are negotiating?
Oh, Kyle, Jelena Firestone was our negotiator, and I remember she would call us in the middle of the night, like, "What are you all thinking?" We would be like, "That, we don't want to give that up."
Well, there were several moments where we got up and left. I mean, that's the nature of this type of thing.
We negotiated until wee hours in the morning, day after day, week after week, until finally the federal judge said, "You're not leaving my chambers until you guys get this done."
We had said all along that this is needed. We need a court enforceable agreement on police reform. And when Timothy was killed and the city blew up, It just demonstrated that we were right.
So the collaborative agreement is the process that we set in place to do police reform in the city of Cincinnati.
So that was the idea of collaborating, coming together, bringing 3,500 voices together to find out how do we, and this was young people, gay, straight, male, female, cops, their wives, activists, and we were able to hash out 5 things that everybody agreed on. It's like, wow.
But on top of that, we want something else. And that was truly revolutionary. We wanted to change the philosophy of policing. We were done with Vortex. We were done with stop and frisk. We were done with shaking black people down at the corner who were just standing there.
I think the hope of the collaborative was that people would approach one another with more respect. And I think at some level that's happened.
Who was at the table for this process, bringing us all
Wow.
together?
There's a gaggle of folks, Kyle. Of course, our attorneys, Ken Lawson, Al Gerhardt-Stein, and Scott Greenwood at the time.
So where was I in all that? It was something I was involved in leading from the city's point of view, along with certain members of city council.
But Don Harden, our FOP attorney, was a wonderful calming influence for everybody. If you talk to Al Gerhardt-Stein or Damon Lynch or anybody from the Black United Front, they will have nothing but good things to say about Don Harden.
If we had just met with the police administration, no agreement would have legitimacy.
One doesn't work without the other. It just doesn't work. You can't have policing to assess themselves without talking to communities to see how well they're done.
Everyone then had an actual stake in the outcome, and they wouldn't be able to point fingers when it was done and blame the mayor, blame the police chief, blame the civil rights lawyers.
It is ironic, last year at this time, Cincinnati was being called a national model, a model for urban dysfunction. Now, however, it's a model for coming together.
I'm grateful to announce this unprecedented agreement between the Justice Department and the City of Cincinnati that improves law enforcement and helps prevent the kind of tragic deaths of citizens and police officers that have caused so much pain in Cincinnati.
I don't like to talk about pride too much, but I thought that there was a lot of accomplishment for a lot of people. I think a lot of people who were sitting there had reason to feel good about what they had accomplished.
After the agreement, CPD didn't fire a gunshot for 27 months. So their use of deadly force just fell off the cliff.
But that work of 20 years ago is a standard that everybody holds up in this city and others.
And I remember our last monitoring team telling us that it was going to take us 10 years before we saw any changes of substance. And I cried that day. You know why? Because the black community deserved to win. The black community deserved to have the opportunity to be heard. It deserved justice. And it deserved it right then and there.
And arrests in Cincinnati are now 50% of what they were when we started.
In 2000, 37,000 African Americans were arrested in Cincinnati. Last year, 16,000 were arrested. My point to you is that the collaborative really did change the culture of policing in Cincinnati from conflict to cooperation.
This place is not the same city. It is not culturally the same 20 years later. A lot of the development that occurred in Over the Rhine would not have occurred had we not addressed and largely fixed police-community relations.
A lot has been made of the redevelopment in this area. 20 years ago, Over the Rhine was filled with abandoned buildings. Today, it's one of the city's most popular neighborhoods.
I think the catalyst to get it together was probably the civil unrest and the need at that time to focus on its core, Cincinnati's core.
It's probably the most changing neighborhood in Cincinnati, even today.
And I think the same attention that was paid to policing should have been paid to development.
We lost the people, we lost the land.
I want you to describe to me what OTR looked like pre-April 2001.
60% empty. The highest crime neighborhood in America per square mile. A very low income neighborhood. Not a healthy place.
Over the Rhine framed me. Those people, they shaped me and shaped who I am. Now they're gone. Their homes are now condos. The laundromats where they used to shop and clean their clothes were closed.
There are going to be critics. I mean, and certainly we probably could have done some things differently over the last 16 years. On the other hand, I think that the results speak for itself, whether it's this park, whether it's Ziegler Park, whether it's Music Hall.
How would you describe it today?
Mixed use, urban environment, much healthier. You know, I think it's a much better place for all people. And it's got people of every income, different colors, and it seems to work.
I think that as we watch the development of Over the Rhine develop people out, it's criminal.
You know, I think that's a narrative that's not only in Cincinnati, it's every city in the country. And every time you see a neighborhood change, there is a concern. Now, there are some neighborhoods in some cities where that is in fact the case. But I think if you really want to be intellectually honest about this, there is not widespread relocation of folks from this neighborhood. That's just factually not correct.
But the reason it's not bad no more is because of the people that usually hang down there or live down there. You can't no more. You hear me? It's like the living is different.
There are at least 8,000 affordable housing units in that initial 30 square block area that will be affordable for a long time to come due to the restrictive covenants there.
I think the affordable housing component of what the city's going through is critical.
And we still see it happening to this day. It's happening in Avondale, it's happening in Walnut Hills, it's happening in Bond Hill, it's happening in Roselawn. It's happening in Madisonville. We see gentrification, it's like the virus. And it's plaguing black people the worst.
Those that are critics, we should listen to them. You know, we don't always have to agree, but we should listen and be respectful of each other's viewpoints.
Is Cincinnati a better place today than it was in April of 2001?
I don't know, take a survey and ask people.
We still have many hills to climb. We still have a long way to go. You know, Joseph Lowry, who followed Dr. King at SCLC, who just died recently, he says about the movement, he says, we got halfway up the mountain. Somebody told us it was the top, and we stopped. We're not there yet, in this city or in this country.
I think that it is definitely, but I'm sure you're going to find people who say that it's not.
I breathe easy knowing that some things are moving in the right light. You know, everything, I mean, I guess what's the saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. So we still got some more days to get Rome to the best level we can get it to.
It's a difficult situation, but collectively, I think, as a society, as a city, do I think Cincinnati's in a better place? Yeah, I do. I really do.
As it relates to policing in the city of Cincinnati, yes, we're better. Because we know that we could do better. We know that better, it's okay to be better. It's okay to see Black people as human beings in 2021.
I think sometimes people may miss that progress because whether it happens here or Baltimore or Ferguson, we feel it. So if it happens to George Floyd in Minneapolis, and you're a Black man in Cincinnati, or a Black woman, or a Black family, you feel it.
And I thought to myself, wow, this might be a real moment here where, you know, police unions and police administrations across the country can come together with the community and say that we can't defend this. You know, there's going to be a thorough investigation. This Derek Chauvin's going to be put on trial, which he is right now. There's going to be consequences.
This time, you saw a lot of non-African Americans in the street leading protests and making calls for change.
And last year, when I was watching things on television, I thought, it's 100 times worse than we had it. It's 100 times worse, thank God. I'm not saddled with the responsibility of trying to address this now.
And I think that that's what you hear from the young folk on the street. They're saying, what are you all doing? And that's why they're so interested in the work of the collaborative agreement, because it gets at what is wrong. It's a lot of work, Kyle, but it gets at it. I just hope it doesn't take another 20 years to get at all of it.
Cincinnati's changed for the better, but we are far from perfect. If the last 20 years taught us anything, it's that we can accomplish a whole lot if we're intentional and we collaborate. Imagine what the next 20 years could bring.
I'm searching for change. I'm looking for change. I'm searching for change.